Hi friends and fellow Earth Angels, it's Gladys. Happy New Year! And welcome back to my weekly Sunday card reading. And this spread is the first official reading for January, covering January 3rd to the 9th, or whenever you got it to watch, as I always intend these to be timeless readings, meaning whenever you come across this video or it pops up in your feed, the messages are meant for you at that time. So welcome. This week I chose an eclectic group of cards. As we drop into the new year, I find that January can be a little bumpy for people. You know, a lot of times we go into the new year tired, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. And so I've always found, February to be the celebration is when I really celebrate the new year. So I want to offer you support today. We're in 2021. Now what? So I have an eclectic group of cards to give you some guidance or some support as you can maybe set the intention for January of, instead of doing and jumping into experiences and action, maybe for January we can practice being, right? A way of being. Maybe it's stillness, maybe it's pause, maybe it's listening to that inner wisdom, maybe it's nothingness, right? So I have an eclectic group of cards that I want to tap into that energy of your soul and the divine wisdom. Like, now what? What do we do now? It's 2021. We made it. Now what? So I'm going to start with the Angels of Atlantis Oracle cards. I haven't used these cards, I think, in over a year. I definitely didn't use them this year. So I've had these and I've done readings with them before, but I'm being called to them for this reading. And then I have the Wild Offering cards, and the answer is simple deck. And then I also have Sacred Geometry Activations and the Secret Language of Light. And I just don't know what order. I'm going to do these cards in yet. So I'm going to put them, like the cards that I'm using, in the description box below. But like I said, in this video, I'm not putting them in order because I don't know. I don't know yet how I'm going to be guided to pull them. So I do know that I'm going to start by opening up space, inviting in all your guardian angels and guides, the archangels, the ascended masters, the divine mother and father, and all their holy beings of light that would like to assist with this guidance for you today. And I'm going to ask that the messages that come through be for your best and highest good, and the best and highest good of all concerned. So we talk about a way of being present, being grounded, being free, right? So instead of jumping into action, how can we savor the moments? I'm thinking that's what we can practice into this new year. So 2021 is a 5 in numerology. 5 is all about transition and change, and this is what can be a challenge for people because 5 years can be a challenge for people because we're changing the way we do things. Cycles and rhythms that aren't working anymore become more apparent. They become more clear through frustration, annoyance, aggravation, right? Discomfort, all those things people would label quote unquote bad. And so I'm saying, in my New Year's celebration service and a lot of the readings that I've done these last couple of weeks, I'm talking about a new way of being. And how can we be open to change? How can we be open to Creator showing us a new way? And a lot of times that's surrendering or releasing the action or the control or the plan that we've been in. So let's see here. Or the plan that we've implemented for ourselves. My grandma always says, she's like, I have a joke for you. She'll say, do you know how to make God laugh? And I'll be like, no, Grandma, how do you make God laugh? She'll say, tell him your plans. So, how about we nix the plan and how about we practice being with Creator, seeing the signs. The divine is always speaking to us in our environment, always giving us heads up, always giving us guidance. And how about we practice being aware of that? All right, angels of Atlantis, which one of you wants to come out this first week, January 2021? What is the most important message we need to hear, see, feel, and know? Okay, so there's 2 here, 1 here, 2 here, 2 here. All right, let's begin. Of course, Michael, have patience, right? Patience with change, patience with our own journey. Let me see what the other card is. And Archangel Gabriel is inspiration. Beautiful card. So, Michael is the guardian of light. Gabriel is the messenger, the voice of God. And I just feel this is the pause I was talking about, the presence, right? How can we soothe the mental chatter, usually connected with control and fear and problem solving and as a way of being, right? How can we practice patience? And another message that I was inspiration in my Sunday reading is I talked about, if you haven't seen it, I had done a New Year's celebration service live on Instagram and my Heavenly Hugs Facebook. So if you're new to my channel and you haven't seen that, you can go over to those platforms and check out my video that I posted. Well, one of the themes that I was talking about was influence versus inspiration, right? When we feel like we should do something to serve the 3D world in a way that comes through the mind, right? Well, I should do this. This is expected of me, right? We're under the influence. Like, I have to grow my business this way, or this platform needs to look like this, or I need to look a certain way, or have experiences a certain way, or expectations, things like that usually come from being under the influence. It could be cultural, it could be family, it could be society, it could be generational, and we've cleared out a lot of those old beliefs, old ways of doing things. So we're being called to inspired action, right? Where are we inspired to serve? Where do we feel the pull, that pull in our heart, right? So when I do this work, I have this pull, this passion, this desire to share, to be of service, and it comes from the heart. How I can explain it was, when we have tragedy in this world, people who are natural servers of God, creator, caregivers, they're the ones running into disaster while many people are running away, right? Firefighters, they have this pull, they run into the burning building to save. Earth angels have this pull, this inspiration to serve God's people, to be a beacon of light on this planet, embody the energy of love, right? So many of us have cleared out the fears, the worries, the have-tos, the shoulds. I've spoken to many people this year who have realized that 2020 was a reset for them. It actually pulled them out of really heavy, low vibrational environments around people, places, things, and ideas. And it gave them an opportunity to see things in a different way, right? That's our 5 energy of change. So this year, as we're present, we become aware of our feeling body and what we enjoy. And I know those of you who follow me often, I say this all the time, but it's so important to shift into aligning to healthier vibrations for us now, right? And we're in that space saying more of this or something even better. So understand that it requires a level of patience, meaning listening, observing, praying, calling on the divine, asking for assistance, right? And guidance. Where can I be of service? And really that's kind of like a way of being a beacon of light for this planet. And that's going to change rapidly. A lot of us have kind of come out of this comfort zone, right? And our old ways of doing things aren't going to work for us anymore. I think I mentioned in one of my videos or somewhere that even the way I channel, even the way, I open space is different, and I'm hyper aware of the shifts that are happening, right? So I have to really ground myself in my own body, in my own innate wisdom. And I believe like 2020 really taught a lot of earth angels how to access that in different ways. All right, so let me see here. I'm going to pull from, these are my shadow and light cards. It's like the answer is simple. And so it's kind of like a shadow and light perspective. So I'm going to ask Michael and Gabriel, as this theme we're going into, as a way of being. How can we be? How can we be? What's the guidance of how can we be so that we're of service to others in the best possible way? Tell the truth. Oh, it's a 9 too. 9's our completion and ending. So here's the thing. As we move into a year of action, right? Is a year of action. It's about making adjustments, changing the way we've done things over and over again. And I feel like starting with telling yourself the truth. Where can we be in denial? So I'm seeing the ego version of a story and then the divine light version of a story. And it feels like this duality, right? If you think about the mind and you think about spirit, right? Or you think about shadow work and working in the light, right? Being able to see the unseen, telling the truth. Also, too, asking God for assistance without shame or without hiding, saying, I'm really scared, I'm really confused, I'm really frustrated. Those are real, honest, normal feelings that I think a lot of times we can hide, right? Because, maybe we don't have people in our lives that are emotionally available to support us, or maybe we don't want to be a burden. I'm glad that came up, because another message that I keep getting working with clients and myself is we really need to be activating the energy of receiving, right? And in order to receive, we need to be honest, like, wow, I need more love in my life. I need more support. I'm open to receiving messages and guidance from the divine. So, and Gabriel's name means voice of God. So how can we speak up from inspired action, that pull of inspiration, as opposed to telling people like how to act, what to do, opinions, I'm meaning like opinions, because everybody's channeling from a stream of consciousness, and there's a lot of information out there that just gets recycled over and over again in different ways. Earth angels are being asked to pull out of that, to pull away from the influence of this information that's just recycling out there. And you know what it is. Each one of you have a different something that you're seeing that you're like, oh, I can approach this in a different way, or oh, I see it differently, right? So we may be called to share our truth in some form. And with earth angels can be private. Earth angels can kind of be behind the scenes. You know, we can be like to be under the radar. And so maybe this is the year that we come out of hiding, that we bring our truth to light, right? Teaching about patience, sharing from that pull, and it's really ultimately, how can you be of service to love? How can you be of service to the truth of the wisdom that's within you? And it's interesting because when I was putting the deck away, I caught a glimpse of the bottom of the deck, and it's give it to God. So some of you need to have a tough conversation with somebody. Could be a family member, could be a coworker, a boss, or it could be God. So how can we come clean? How can we reveal ourselves to Creator in the most vulnerable way? For everybody, this is going to be a little different. But ultimately, if this is having a conversation with somebody, I mean, she's sitting down getting ready to write a letter, right? Or getting to journal, share her thoughts in some way. If you're not sure, give it to God. It's like releasing the balloons up, right? To the heavens. And then, again, as you release it, have patience, pause, to wait for the inspiration that comes from your heart. I think some of you may step into writing, journaling, blogging maybe. Okay, so let me go into sacred geometry. What is being activated within you this first week of January? What are the angels activating within you this week? It's like I see like downloads. Can you be open to receiving the download of integration? Yeah, so, you know, it almost speaks to that part of this first month of the year where we're in this transitional space of releasing 2020 and giving some space to integrate into the new year. So it's card number 30 or 3. 3 always reminds me of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, or it also reminds me of balance, the masculine and feminine energy. So here the card says, the frequency of integration supports our embrace of every aspect of ourselves. Hello, truth, right? Allowing what we perceive as positive and what we perceive as negative to harmonize in a balanced symphony of life, right? Where do we feel out of control? Where do we have this false sense of security? Where are we fooling ourselves, right? This is kind of getting down to the raw truth, like being shedding what no longer serves us. And that's probably where you're being asked to have patience right now, that you're receiving these downloads. Even this card looks like, you know, the download into the earth, into spirit, into the divine. Things are being integrated right now. So you might be a little uncomfortable. You know, I've been feeling very full, very bloated, very heavy. And I've been practicing approaching that feeling in a completely different way, because I would annihilate myself and, you know, I'd go on a detox and I'd do all these crazy things just to kind of feel better. So, you know, during the full moon in Cancer, I was feeling very pregnant. Although I'm not pregnant, I was feeling this fullness of energy. And I don't really feel that way very often. So I just embraced it. And again, this is what I mean about being present with the experiences we're having and being able to shift the way we would have approached these things in a different way. Energies are high vibrating right now, and there's a lot of integration that's happening. That's why I feel like the guides want to encourage you to, instead of getting on the horse and getting ready to take off and setting a plan and doing all these, maybe it's intentions, how can we practice being? How can we, like, being kind to ourselves, choosing happy regardless of the space that we're in? How can we keep a smile on our face? Or if we are feeling negative or uncomfortable or tired, being able to honor that in a non-judgmental way, right? And labeling it. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. And again, being able to surrender those experiences. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's stress, maybe it's overwhelm. How can you sit with that and nurture that part of you that's uncomfortable, right? It's then when we start to change our frequencies and step out of the cycles and the old ways of being. Let me see here. All right, so what prayer? So there's prayers on these cards. What would be the best prayer? Let's say you're feeling all this discomfort and you're feeling impatience. I'm going to ask the angels, what prayer can you use to best support yourself this week when you're starting to feel the discomfort or the shift of the new year into from the old year into the new year? I just keep seeing like a rocket ship that comes back to space, right? When rocket ships gets launched, and we've had a few of them this year, gets launched into space, there's like an integration period where they need to adjust to the outer space environment. It's a way of being, and it takes a little bit. And then even though they've been living on this planet their whole lives, when they come back to Earth, there's still an integration period. It takes time to adjust out of that energy. So understand, as we move into this 21st century, the age of Aquarius, the energy of freedom, transition and change, it can be a lot. So patience with yourself, right? And kindness and sweetness and peace and like I said, happy people, happy thoughts. So what prayer can support you in that if you start to be activated this week? Clarity. Oh, I like it. Let me trust my deepest instincts in all ways, especially when matters are unclear. May my own holy intuition always guide the way. This is kind of like an extension of last week's reading. I'll link it at the end of this video, but it's last week's reading that talked a lot about trust your instincts, trust your intuition. Well, in order to be able to do that, we have to know ourselves on a deeper level, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what we resonate with and what we don't resonate with. You know, every year I talk about how I choose a word for the year. And, you know, last year I talked about how my word was surrender. And what happens is when we set intentions to feel fully embrace the full experience of the word or the intention we set, we kind of have to be challenged in it. That's part of the experience. And if you remember, my word at the beginning of the year was surrender. And I chose that word because I felt myself under the influence of trying to control things, force things, make things happen, feeling like uncertain and being uncomfortable with it. So I asked God to show me and teach me what surrender means. And then, you know, decide to make a transition in my life, a bigger financial commitment. I felt secure in my work and my practice. And then boom, an entire planet shuts down, right? So I make this transition, this change, bigger financial commitment, and everything shuts down. So I realized in that moment, okay, I'm learning the full capacity of what surrender means, and relinquishing control, and finding my courage, and facing fear and uncertainty with courage, right? So you have to remember, Earth Angels, that doing things outside of the norm is courageous. Stepping out of the conditioning of society and the way we've been raised culturally, like as a generation, as a population, it takes courage to step out of that. Earth Angels, I'm telling you, you're going to start seeing the truth of who you are. And a lot of it is we don't fit. We don't fit in these old paradigms, these old ways of being, and we really don't know how to be, right? And so that's why I feel like you're going through this shift, and we've been working towards balance between the masculine and feminine, integration, wholeness. There's been a lot of loss, right? Shedding, release. There's a lot of grief that's come up for people, you know, and I see it as a catalyst for change, a catalyst for metamorphosis and transformation. And in this space, you find clarity in the essence of who you are on deeper levels. So you're going to be asked to do things in a different way, and it's going to feel weird and it's going to feel uncomfortable, but you're going to have this pull that says, I need to do this. So again, let me trust my deepest instincts in all ways, especially when matters are unclear. May my holy intuition always guide the way. I love it. This is going to be like, this is the year of practice what you preach, right? And it's interesting because it's got nothing to do with anybody else. It's our own self-healing. It's our own integration, activating of higher levels of light, right? As we flush out the old, in comes the new, right? As we call in the light and fill our vibration, all the shadow stuff comes up and out. There's been a lot of cleansing, purging, which gives us more clarity. I have more clarity about who I am and where I'm going and what my passion is, more now than I ever have before. And I truly thank 2020 because it gave me a lot of time. I mentioned I slept a lot, but it wasn't because I was lazy and I didn't want to do anything. The rest and the sleep is actually the patience and the pause that I needed to be self-aware of my own programs, my own cycles, my own repeated patterns over and over again to make the change. And like I said, I had to surrender it. So a lot of us are coming into new clarities, new insights. And like I said, it's not about imposing influence. It's how may I serve as a beacon of love on this planet? And that has everything to do with you, right? How do you go out in the world and smile? How do you go out in the world and offer compassion to somebody who's struggling? Hi, how are you doing? How are you feeling? I will pray for you. You know, I love you. Thank you. And being able to acknowledge, you know, you look really beautiful today, or that thing that you did for that person really inspired me. You see how we're shifting as a way of being love on the planet as opposed to doing, right? Through influence, right? I hope that makes sense. Let me see here. So I'm going to pull, well, I think it's the only deck that I have left. I'm going to pull the Secret Language of the Light. I'm going to connect with the collective souls of the Earth Angels. And I'm going to ask what your soul, how may we serve? What does your soul want you to know about your service to the world? Ooh, divine animals. 22. 22 is like, it is like a stability number. Like, have faith, everything's gonna be okay. Double twos. This is when worries and fears can come out. So I see that, like, I think of the lion. The lion doesn't have to do anything to radiate and command presence and its empowerment, right? The lion and the lioness, it's like they embody a way of being. When they're hungry, they eat. When they're tired, they sleep. When they're abundance of energy, they play. It's almost like the lion is the embodiment of, I know who I am, like that king and that queen energy. I am enough. There's a video recently I saw out there where a bunch of lions and lionesses, there must have been like traffic somewhere because there were a bunch of cars on the road. It wasn't like a tour or something where a bunch of cars had pulled over and there was these lions and lionesses just walking up the street, and people were just like frozen. And even I felt the power through the video, and I was like, man, they command a presence. And I feel like, just like the animal kingdom, God wants you to remember the empowerment and the gifts that you have to be leaders, right? The lion doesn't have to say, I'm the king, you have to respect me. It commands it through its presence, right? And this is kind of like the power of God, the power of light, the power of source that flows through us, right? Like there's this light that's coming down in this space. So some of you, if the lion or lioness is a totem animal for you, it's really embodying that energy. We are creatures. Is that the word I want to use? We are divine beings on this planet. And I feel like the divine is reminding you that you are powerful when you're in balance, fully present with how you're feeling and what your needs are. So that's my interpretation, but I just want to check in with the book real quick because it usually has action that you can take. Okay, so it says we all create different containers for our soul experiences depending on our individual desires and dreams. Humans experience greater contrast than animals. This is why our influence and creations are wider reaching. However, this also makes it easier for us to split and stray from our hearts. Animals reflect the divine love that we are. When we are around animals, it's easier to move into alignment where we can be inspired to grander creations. People often believe they receive unconditional love from an animal. As an animal is more likely to be aligned with its soul instinct, it doesn't need you to be different to who you are for it to feel loved. You will feel free to be who you are. When you emulate this behavior for yourself, life becomes more relaxed. Let me see here. I'm sorry. As an animal is more likely to be aligned with its soul instinct, it doesn't need you to be different to who you are for it to feel loved. You will feel free when you'll feel free to be who you are when you emulate this behavior for yourself, meaning I know who I am, and I'm commanding this presence. I'm a child of God. Sorry, I got a little hiccup there. It's so crazy because, I channel and I'm so deep in right brain. When I have to do like left brain things, it's almost like takes me a minute. So I apologize for that hiccup. It says, when you emulate this behavior for yourself, life becomes more relaxed, loving, and your relationships will catapult to a whole new level of joy. So for some of you, the divine, your soul is asking you to observe maybe the animals around you. My little sweet potato is completely knocked out in his bed, and his little nose is peeking out, and he is the embodiment of love. And I talked in the beginning about how this year we can really, really embrace receiving, right? The animal medicine that Mother Nature is always speaking to us, right? If we can receive the signs, if we can receive the animal medicine, it ignites a light in us and it ignites a fire. I mean, just me looking over at him, it squeezes my heart with love, right? And it's really been a blessing. I thank God every night, and I thank him every night for being my friend and companion, because he's the embodiment of love. So if you're blessed enough to have animals, just spend time observing them. They don't have to be anything other than the organic, natural part of who they are. And this is why there's a bajillion videos of people's animals out on social media platforms, right? Because animals are such the epitome of themselves. So there's so many aspects of this variation of this card, but ultimately it's have faith. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your innate wisdom and this power that flows through you. And when you declare it, you get this clarity that pulls you, right? Pulls you, draws you to be of service, gives you an abundance of energy to be that light in the world. Remember, love is infinite. The abundance of energy that comes from love is powerful, right? So, wow. All right. Well, I'm going to close space. I want to thank all your guardian angels and guides, the archangels, the ascended masters, the divine mother and father, and all their holy beings of light that assisted with this guidance for you today. And I'm going to ask that any healing that was started continue for as long as it needs to be done in mind, body, spirit, and emotions. All right, friends. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sharing me with your friends and family. It's truly humbling to hear from when I've gotten a referral or somebody has shared me with a friend. I truly, it really lights me up. It kind of shows me that, how my service in the world is making an impact, and that is truly valuable. So thank you for that. If I can be of service to you, if you're feeling the calling of your heart for a session or some guidance in life purpose or divine guidance, or even connecting with loved ones for healing, there's a link below that will lead you to my online booking system. I am still working remotely. We're still required in Massachusetts in Rhode Island to quarantine and wear masks and stuff. So I will continue to do that and be a beacon of light in this new way. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. God loves you so much. Trust in the divine, trust your intuition, and I send you love with heavenly hugs. Bye for now.